What is up, guys? Welcome back to Swish Life Garage, and today I want to be showing you guys how to put a 5th gen Prelude sunroof assembly onto your 4th gen Prelude. Now you might be asking yourself, why would someone want to do this? Well, the 4th gen Prelude sunroof is a metal panel. It is not a glass panel as the 5th gen, and the panels are known for rusting on the underside and coming up through the top side and messing up your whole panel. Now these are older Hondas. You can't just go to the dealership and buy a brand new metal sunroof panel. If you're fortunate enough to find one at the junkyard, make sure to coat the underside, because from factory they do not coat the underside, and that's how rust forms. Now there are people with the 5th gen sunroof, but they don't install the whole assembly. Now with installing the whole assembly, you get the benefit of having the top slide, so you get to let in the sun when you want. And you know, it just looks a whole lot better to me. Now, but with installing the whole assembly, there is more work, a lot more work to do. Now I'm going to be having this video in several different parts, because you guys know me, I like to show every little bit of detail, so there are no questions about this. There might be a few questions, but I like to go ahead and settle them out through the video. In the end, I believe installing the sunroof assembly is worth it, in my opinion. Your opinion might be different after watching this video, but I mean, if you guys are up to it, I highly encourage you guys to go ahead and do this sunroof swap. The Prelude I'm going to be working on isn't my own, it's actually my dad's. He's been having this Prelude for, I would say, maybe 2 years, and he's been getting on to me about me installing the sunroof onto his Prelude, because his sunroof just looks real nasty. I told him I would do it, and now I finally have time to do it, and I thought I might as well go ahead and make a video on this, because I haven't seen any other videos on someone doing this install on YouTube. Now I'm going to go ahead and walk you guys through every little thing that you guys need to do to make this sunroof assembly swap a success. Alright, so now the places we're going to be cutting are going to be right here. I kind of made a mark, but basically you follow this bend on the lower side and just cut all through right there. Now I think what I'm going to do this time around, I'm going to go ahead and try to just like grind these off, these spot welds, and take off the whole thing. And yeah, I think that should work. But if you want, you could just go ahead and just cut this off right there. Same for the other side. The biggest place you're going to be cutting at is going to be right here. Now you're going to have to take off this motor, this sunroof motor off, but you're going to start your cut from right here all the way. Keep it close, come up around, go ahead and go straight across, and then it's space wide open. You cut straight across from here on your way down over here, so you get rid of this whole back piece. So because these would be sticking out if you were to try to put these on to the 4th gen Prelude as of right now. But gonna go ahead and cut all this off. I already got the motor loose, and the motor for the 4th gen sunroof and the 5th gen are the same. Also got to take off these bolts right here for the sunroof, well, for the motor I mean, and it should just come right off after this. Go ahead and there it is right there. You can go ahead and clean all that dirt up. You can see dirt in there too, so it will run smoother. Put a little bit of grease on there and it should be good to go. But gonna go ahead and cut everything out, and then we'll see where we go from there. Just gonna go ahead and throw a towel over the sunroof shade. Now it's not in the best condition. You can see there's some marks on there, right there, and a little right there. But it's for my dad, and I know he doesn't really care about that stuff. He's not really anal like me. But just to go ahead and save it from any sparks, from getting any worse, gonna go ahead and cover it up.
Take away the fear inside. Sincere time.
Alright, so it's a different day. It got dark on me the other day and I couldn't really record, but I kept working and I grinded down the paint and stuff here, and as I was inspecting it I noticed that the two the pinch welds that were here, when I grinded off the whole metal bracket, I actually grinded a little too much and the metal got real thin, and so I decided to go ahead and weld on it so I could thicken it up some, and then so that's what you're seeing right here. Now there are some pinholes, usually even on bodywork, when they do bodywork on cars, when they weld on like little sheets of metal to like to the doors and stuff like that, fenders, there's always some pinholes. It's never perfect, and most of the time they just go ahead and slap Bondo over it. There should be some other steps to take, but most of the time they don't really get paid for that, so most of the time they're just throwing Bondo over it and they cover it up and you'll never see it again. But basically right here there's I think that one's a pinhole. There's like another pinhole like right here. So there's two pinholes that I can see. I put light through it, and all I gotta do, since it's been about 2 days since I've worked on this, I've been a little busy, so I'm gonna go ahead and get some sandpaper, just sand it down, because there might be some rust starting. You can't really see it, but it's a little, there's humidity in the air, and that's what causes the rust. Same thing on the other side, but this one there's only one pinch weld that was a little thin, and so I welded on it and it's all good. There's actually no pinholes on this one. Let me see. Oh no, never mind. There is one pinhole on this one. I forgot which weld it was. It might have been one of the other ones that there was no pinholes, but there's one right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and sand it down, then go ahead and throw some rust prevention paint on it, and I'm gonna give that about 24 hours to go ahead and dry. So after it dries, it will be a new day. And same thing for the other side. Well, before I turn it over, the same thing for these right here, the cuts I made. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure they're a little smooth, got a little bit of metal there. Make sure it's all rounded off, good to go, and then go ahead and throw some rust prevention paint on it. And on the other side, I'm going to try to get a wire wheel in there and throw some paint on that also. And then after that, go ahead and throw some quick steel on it, so make sure those pinholes get all covered up, because the other side is actually where the water goes in for when it rains, and then it goes throughout the drainage tube over here and goes out your quarter panels or out by your fenders. So alright, I'm gonna go ahead and sand it down, and then we'll go ahead and throw some paint on it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and clean it, the metal off with some paint thinner. Let the paint thinner dry, and then I'll go ahead and spray it. Now I know I won't be able to wipe all inside those little crevices from welding, but with this paint, it's not even really meant to have to clean things off like that, unless there's like really a lot of rust. But I mean, this is just not even that old, so there may be tiny bit of rust in those little crevices, but at the end of the day, it'll be okay. So clean that up. Just want to make sure the paint will have a little bit of contact. It's pretty tough paint, so it doesn't have to be the cleanest, but still try. Now, like I said, the water does go through here and out through this drainage tube. Alright, one coat on right there. Like I said, I'm gonna wait a couple minutes, then I'll throw a second coat, and then maybe a third coat. Alright, it's been 24 hours since I sprayed the rust protector, or the rust converter. I got some quick steel here. I already cut some up. I'm gonna go ahead and fill up these little pinholes. You know, this is just making sure that no water leaks or anything like that. You could put the quick steel before you paint it, but for me, I just want the underside protected. Even though this is supposed to be waterproof tight, I just go ahead and do the paint first and then the quick steel after. Alright, now I put on the quick steel here. It's getting dry. You gotta let it dry for a couple of hours. But I mean, I still gotta go buy some more cutting blades, and then we'll get on to the next part. It's getting a little dark, so I'll do it tomorrow. I had some extra quick steel left over, and I put it right there on the welds. One right there, two right there. I wasn't actually planning to put quick steel on the other side, but it was a pretty good plan either way. Let me see. Yeah, it's starting to get a little hard now. Alright, so finished the rear half of the sunroof. So now just time to finish up around the sunroof. And for this, I like to go ahead and take apart the glass and the slide away, so I don't do any damage to that. So I'm gonna go ahead and take off these plastic panels. Just you gotta pop off that little cap there, and then you'll be exposed to a screw. Let's see. There's a screw right there. Try not to lose these plastic caps. Now on removing the plastic panels, it's actually been I don't know, a couple years, about 5 years since I've done this, or 6 years. To remove the panel, I don't know if you can see that, you gotta actually slide that off. Right here, there's the little pin, and then so if it's in there like that, just slide it back and then come up, and it comes off real easy. Now I'm going to go ahead and take off the four nuts on each side holding on the glass sunroof. Now just need to go ahead and take off the slider. Now usually when you pull it forward, the reason why it stops is because it hits these screws right here. It hits right there. On this side isn't hitting. There it goes. It hits right there, and it doesn't let it go forward. So you gotta take off this screw, take off this nut, thing comes off, and you're able to slide it out. Alright, now I got all this together. I'm just gonna put that off to the side and clean that all up before it goes on to the sunroof assembly. But go ahead and put that somewhere where you won't lose anything. And on this, I'm still going to clean this up after I do the cuts next. Basically, what you're going to be cutting is on the front right here. Just on the front, not on the sides. Just on the front, you're going to measure out 1/4 inch all the way across. And then, like I said, you're not going to cut the sides, but just kind of blend it into the sides, you know, if that makes sense. So it's going to be 1/4 inch, and then kind of just blend it into the corners. And the same thing for the back. You're going to measure out 1/4 inch and then blend it into the sides. Now some people say not to cut the rear because it is spot welded together, but I say just do it. Yeah, I mean I've cut it before. I didn't have any problems on my other sunroof, so I'm just gonna go ahead and cut it. If you don't want to cut it, you could go ahead and just bend it back 1/4 inch and you should be good. But alright, I'm gonna go ahead and measure it out. I'm not gonna record it because that's gonna take forever. Alright, so I measured out 1/4 inch. I just scratched it with a screwdriver, put the tape measure on there, and just followed it along, kept it real tight. And yeah, just basically, I don't know how good it comes out on camera, but basically where it scratches, and I kind of just freehand the sides to where I'm gonna cut it. And after I cut it, I'm gonna smooth it out so everything kind of looks as it should, not a jagged edge and just a wavy line. Same thing for the back, measured out 1/4 inch. Now 1/4 inch, I was seeing on the welds, just touches the tops, like the tips of the welds, so you're not completely breaking the weld. It's just barely touching it, and that's where you're going to cut off the metal. Let me see. If you see that line, it just barely even chops off some of the spot weld, so I'm not really worried about that. And same thing on the edges, curved it out, and then I'll fix it once it's all kind of have my rough cut. But if you're unsure of how far to cut, just go ahead and cut less, install it on your car, and then you could just shape it from there, so you don't cut too much. And this is so the trim would fit around the sunroof and everything would look stock OEM how it should.